Peace, peace. This your host, Selah Shalom, and this is the Cosmon Teachings in the words of Jehovah and his angel ambassadors from the Cosmon Bible of Waspi. And the topic of discussion today is going to be called the Prophet Iwata of North Guatama, which is America. The first Bible of Guatama being of Iwata, a man chosen by God for the children of Guatama. Now, God's first book, chapter 24, verse 1 through 7, it states, In Guatama, in the Middle Kingdom, by the sea of Sosiapan, came down from heaven Gichi, the creator, the world maker, Manito, with silence, speaking in the soul of things. He said, Speak, O earth, have eyes, O earth, have ears, O earth, behold me, your maker. Verse 2, The earth answered him not with words, boasting, but raised up man. Verse 3, Man said, Here I am, O Gichi. The creator looked, and lo and behold, the ions of Guatama stood before him, the little people, white and yellow. Gichi, in parentheses, God, said, Because thou hast answered me in faith, O earth, thy angry or talking animal shall be called ions. Thus was named the first talkers, men with mouths for words, ears for words. Verse 4, Then Gichi, God, called the ions together and said they were good, even the handsomest of all created creations. And he commanded them to marry, male and female, and beget heirs. Verse 5, And they obeyed God's commandment, but the dumb earth cast clouds upward and blinded the ways of the ions, and they strayed away from the mounds, and came to the black drunks, which spoke not, have no words, being dumb like the black mud of the earth where they were buried. Verse 6, In the darkness of the earth the ions mingled with the drunks, and lo and behold, a second-born speaking animal, Angri or Indian, stood upon the earth, tall and red and strong, swift and handsome. Gichi being God said, verse 7, I blame thee not, O ions. I saw the darkness, saw thy straits. But never more shall thou dwell with the drunks, nor with the new red-born, those with faces like new copper. Call them Ahuins, for they shall be protectors over my chosen, the ions, forever. The Ahuins shall drive away the Ba and Maiu, and great serpents, and all man-slaying beasts. For I will make mighty nations out of the seed of the Ahuins. Now these are the first tribes of Ahuins after the flood. God's first book, chapter 24, verse 8 and 9. Verse 8, The first Ahuin name was Aidu, and his wife name was Una, and they begot Owina, and Dan, and Shusa. But they had no more heirs. At a time soon after, the second man, whose name was Kakaoch, and whose wife name was Wiz, begot Soma, and Pena, and Kak, and Kubak, and Jasam. Verse 9, And these were the first tribes of Ahuins in the land of Guatama, America, after the flood. And they dwelt together, marrying and begetting offspring, dwelling in peace. And the Ions taught them in all things. So they became an honor on the earth and a glory unto the Creator. But they were mixed so together that one tribe had no preference over another. So by commandment of God, they were called the tribes of Oidu Kakao of the Middle Kingdom, which is Central America, which is called here Juan Opan Ganosa, which is in parentheses Central America. These are the generations of the tribes in Guatama. God's first book, chapter 24, verse 10 through 23. And here, these names are so long that I'm not going to pronounce out the whole names, but just like the first 3 or 4 letters because of the extent of the name. And this coincides with a language where some names were created by connecting one tribe's name with another tribe's name, and the extent of the letters would be so long that the language became confounded at one time. Verse 10, In the valleys of Owak by the river Hoi Janwain, Gichi, in parentheses Jehovah, created another tribe called Bakhauga, and to the north of them in the mountains, Mianhao and Go Tuba. And their tribes commingled, and Gichi, in parentheses God, named them, and he named them Bakhau. And now you can see the extent of the name. Verse 11, Jesan, son of Rakaho, married Wipan, daughter of Bakhau. And they begot Stogalbak, and he begot Kam, and he begot Si, and she married Ban, son of the tribe Rakua. And Ban's firstborn son name was Labanasi. Verse 12, Labanasi was born in Suez, of the second order, and could hear the voice of the Creator, Gichi, the Great Spirit. And the voice remained with Labanisi during his lifetime, which was 125 years, and he died. And the voice descended to Labanisi's son, Hutalabanisi, who lived 101 years, and he died. And the voice descended to his son, Hatapan, and thence to his son after him, named Arapan. And you can see the extent of this name. Verse 13. Thus was represented the 18 tribes of Geechee chosen amongst the Ahuans, who should become everlasting heirs to the voice. Verse 14. And God said unto Ara, Arise and go forth, my hand will steer thee. So Ara rose up and departed by the hand of the Creator, and came to the valley of Ong, broad and sweet smelling, full of healthy giving food and air and water. And there came with Ara into Ong 1,000 men, women, and children. And they built a city and called it Ethspan, signifying place of beauty. Verse 15. And these took the name of the tribe Ara, which name survived 1,750 years, and their people were tens of thousands. Verse 16. After the tribe of Ara lost a voice, there was raised up Shoshan of the tribes of Stogalbak. And Geechee raised his hand before Shoshan and pointed the way, and Shoshan departed out of the country of Tabachus, and came to Owang, and took to wife Hesim, daughter of Agufanahu. And they begot Aaron, a son of great beauty and strength, a swift runner. Verse 17. And the voice of Geechee Manito, son of Jehovah, in parentheses, came to Aaron and remained with him during his natural lifetime, which was 90 years, and to his son, Fasawan, and thence to his son, Manago. And you can see the extent of these names once again. Verse 18. And Manag inhabited the regions of the plains of Yatiatusu, in parentheses, Arkansas. And his people became mighty in cities and agriculture. For 4,000 years, the voice of the All-Father remained with the regular succession of the heirs of Manag. But their names and their cities' names became so long that no man could speak them or write them. Verse 19. So Geechee, in parentheses, Jehovah, raised up Hunga, son of Ab, of the tribe of Oidu, of the land of the Middle Kingdom. And Hunga went into the mountain of Gai, in parentheses, the Rocky or Eagle Mountains, sloping to the east. Verse 20. Geechee spake to Hunga, saying, Thou shalt take Obi for thy wife. Out of thy seed will I raise up a greater tribe than all other tribes. And thy firstborn son shall have thy name, and thy son's son shall be called Hunga also, and thy son's son's son, and so on forever. For I am wearied with the burden of names. Thy great Creator hath spoken. Verse 21. Then asked Hunga, saying, What if I have no sons but only daughters? Or of my sons or my sons' sons? They cease to have sons but only daughters. Verse 22. Then spoke Geechee, saying, the wife's first daughter. So it came to pass in course of time, Hunga married and begot heirs, and the voice of the Great Spirit remained with the tribes of Hunga. And it came to pass that he who heard the voice, who was always the chief high prophet for the tribe, was called Hoanga. But the people themselves were called Ongwi, the same that hath endured to this day and is called Indian. Verse 23. And the generations of Hunga were called first Hunga, second Hunga, third Hunga, and so on. And this was the beginning of the counting of time in Guatama, America. Neither knew any man the number of generations before the time of Hunga the first. So we're showing you right here that from the time that Hunga started counting his generations, that's when they kept record. But prior to that, there was no record count. But previously, as I read, it showed you the amount of years that they were inhabiting the land before this time. God's first book, chapter 24, verse 24 to 26, states, And the land became full of cities from the east to the west and from the north to the south, and the people dwell in peace, tribe with tribe, the world over. Then came the god of evil, Atura, sowing evil in the temples and on the altars. Yeah, with the false tongue and cunning came he before the prophets, stealing their eyes away, stealing their ears away, holding up his hand, saying, It is the great Spirit's hand. Verse 25. And Aturah obsessed the nations and tribes of men to worship him, infatuating them with the stories of far-off countries and the glory of kings and queens. And he set on foot a war of plunder, brought 10,000 times 10,000 evil spirits to aid and abet mortals in war. Verse 26. And